Have you ever heard of André the Giant? Not just as a wrestler, but as a man, a human being whose life was as extraordinary as it was tragic. To the world, he was the biggest man who ever stepped into a wrestling ring, the eighth wonder of the world. To fans, he was a legend. But behind the fame, the size, and the spectacle was a short, painful, and deeply emotional life that few truly understood. André Roussimoff was born in 1946 in the small French town of Colomiers, just 1 year after the end of World War II. His parents were immigrants of Bulgarian and Polish descent, hardworking people who raised 5 children on a farm. André was the third child, growing up alongside his brothers Antoine and Jacques and his sisters Helene and Marie. In his early years, nothing about him seemed unusual. He was just another country boy, playing in the fields, helping with chores, and going to school like everyone else. As a child, André was completely ordinary in size and appearance. He blended in with other kids and never imagined he would one day be known worldwide for his physical presence. But around the age of 12, everything changed. His body began to grow at a shocking pace. He became taller, heavier, and broader almost overnight. Soon, he couldn't fit in the school desks anymore. His legs stuck out into the aisles, and his shoulders brushed against doorframes. While teachers and classmates were confused, his parents didn't see his growth as a problem. On the farm, size meant strength. To them, André's height was a blessing. He could lift heavier tools, carry bigger loads, and work longer hours. They thought he was simply built for hard labor. Inside, though, André still had small dreams. One of them was learning to play the guitar. He loved music and wanted to express himself through it. But his fingers were already too thick and heavy to control the strings properly. No matter how hard he tried, the instrument never cooperated with him. Another turning point came when he reached the age for military service. During his medical exam for the French army, doctors told him he was too large to serve. By then, he was already over 2 meters tall and weighed close to 130 kilograms. The rejection hurt. For the first time, André realized that his size wasn't just unusual, it separated him from normal life. It was around this time that André discovered wrestling. He saw it not just as entertainment, but as a place where size wasn't a disadvantage, it was power. After moving to Paris, he worked as a loader, lifting heavy goods to earn money, and trained relentlessly in his free time. He adopted the ring name, Géant Ferré, and began wrestling in local matches. His strength and presence were unlike anything people had ever seen. Opponents stood no chance against him. Promoters quickly noticed, and soon André was traveling across France, Korea, Australia, and parts of Africa, winning nearly every match he fought. A French-Canadian wrestler named Edouard Carpentier saw André and immediately recognized his potential. Carpentier convinced André's parents to let their son move to Canada, where the wrestling industry was booming. That decision changed André's life forever. In 1970, André traveled to Japan, where he was renamed Monster André. During a routine medical exam there, doctors discovered the truth behind his size. He had acromegaly, a rare condition caused by excessive growth hormone production even after adulthood. His bones would never stop growing. The diagnosis came with a terrifying warning. Without surgery, doctors said André might not live past 40. Surgery could stop his growth, but it would also change his appearance, the very thing that made him special in wrestling. André faced an impossible choice: protect his health or protect his identity. He chose the ring. He chose to live fully, even if it meant living briefly. When André joined the WWF, he became André the Giant. In the ring, he was a colossus. Fans called him the eighth wonder of the world. His matches with wrestlers like Big John Studd, Killer Khan, and Hulk Hogan became legendary. His presence alone sold out arenas. In 1987, he faced Hulk Hogan at WrestleMania in one of the most iconic matches in wrestling history. Though he lost that match, he returned the following year to defeat Hogan, proving once again that André was more than just size, he was drama, emotion, and storytelling. As his illness progressed, wrestling became harder. His joints hurt constantly. His back and legs ached under the pressure of his own weight. Solo matches became nearly impossible, so he shifted into tag team events where the physical burden was slightly lighter. But pain followed him everywhere. To escape it, André began drinking. A lot. Alcohol became his way of numbing both physical suffering and emotional loneliness. Behind the scenes, André was known as one of the heaviest drinkers in history. Stories of him consuming over 100 beers in a single night became legend. One famous night in a hotel lobby, André drank 127 cans of beer, fell asleep at the table, and couldn't be moved. The staff had no choice but to leave him there until morning. But the drinking wasn't about fun, it was about survival. His body hurt constantly. His world wasn't built for someone his size. Cars were too small. Doorways were too narrow. Airplane bathrooms were impossible to use. Every day reminded him that he didn't fit. Eventually, André had to build a custom home with oversized doors, furniture, and beds. His clothes and shoes were made specially for him. Even flying required 2 seats, and airlines sometimes curtained off space just so he could sit comfortably. His uniqueness made him famous, but it also made him lonely. He lived between 2 worlds, adored by millions, yet isolated in daily life. Despite everything, André found joy in acting. He appeared in films like Conan the Destroyer and Zorro, but his favorite role was Fezzik in The Princess Bride. On set, people saw a different André, gentle, kind, playful. He loved making others laugh. He loved that role because, in many ways, it showed who he really was. But time was not kind to him. By the early 1990s, André the Giant's body had reached its limits. Years of non-stop growth, constant travel, physical punishment in the ring, and untreated acromegaly had taken an enormous toll. His heart was strained, his joints were worn down, and simple movement became exhausting. In 1992, André officially retired from professional wrestling. The decision wasn't easy. Wrestling wasn't just his job, it was his identity. But the pain had become unbearable. Every step felt heavy. Every breath reminded him that his time was running out. In January 1993, André traveled to France for a deeply personal reason: to attend his father's funeral. He stayed in a small apartment in Paris while visiting family. Just days later, on January 27, 1993, André René Roussimoff passed away in his sleep at the age of only 46. The cause of death was heart failure. His body, which had carried so much weight for so many years, could not endure any longer. At the time of his death, André weighed over 560 pounds and stood nearly 7 feet tall. The giant had finally been laid to rest. In keeping with his wishes, André was cremated. His ashes were flown back to his beloved ranch in Ellerbe, North Carolina, a place where he felt peace. There, they were scattered over the land he loved, where he once spent quiet days caring for animals and walking with his dog. It was a simple ending for a man whose life had been anything but simple. After André's death, much of his estate was handled by someone the public barely knew: his daughter, Robin Christensen-Roussimoff. André had lived a very private personal life. He never married, and he rarely spoke about relationships. For years, many fans didn't even know he had a child. Robin was born in 1979 to Jean Christensen, a former model who later became a journalist. André and Jean had a short relationship. At first, André believed he couldn't have children because of his condition. When Jean became pregnant, a paternity test later confirmed André was indeed the father. Although André acknowledged Robin legally and paid child support, first $750 a month, later increasing it to $1,000, he did not play an active role in her life. By the time Robin was 12 years old, she had only seen her father 4 times. Once as a baby, again around the age of 1, again at 4, and finally in November 1991. That last meeting lasted only 5 minutes. For Robin, her father was a legend to the world, but a stranger to her heart. Growing up, Robin struggled with the idea that her father was both famous and absent. She once said, "He was my father, but also not, you know what I mean." She didn't grow up in the wrestling world. She didn't sit ringside watching matches. She saw André off stage, not in the ring. She saw him as a quiet, reserved man, not the roaring giant fans adored. When she became older, she tried to learn more about him by speaking to people who had known him. But as she explained in a CBS Sports interview, if you're not part of the industry, it's very hard to find someone who will really open up. Still, Robin believed that if André had lived longer, their relationship might have grown. Time, she felt, had been stolen from both of them. Even though he was distant emotionally, André made sure his daughter would be taken care of financially. He left her a portion of the income from his merchandise and licensing rights, a legacy that still supports her today. Physically, Robin carries many of her father's features. She has the same strong jaw, small eyes, and broad cheekbones. Signs of gigantism are present in her appearance. She stands around 5 feet 11 inches tall and weighs over 220 pounds. Because of this, fans often ask the same question. Is she as big as André? The answer is no, but she carries his presence in her own powerful way. Robin is often referred to as the daughter of the great André, a title she accepts with quiet pride. She has worked closely with WWE to protect her father's legacy. She is involved in projects that use André's image, including video games, documentaries, and merchandise. According to reports, she earns around $500,000 annually from licensing and brand rights connected to her father's name. Despite her connection to fame, Robin lives very privately. She avoids the spotlight. She rarely gives interviews. She has never married and values her independence. In 2024, she celebrated her 45th birthday and continues to live life on her own terms, traveling, working behind the scenes, and staying out of celebrity drama. Robin has, however, spoken lovingly about one part of André's life, his acting. In interviews, she has said that her father was most proud of his role as Fezzik in The Princess Bride. When her mother once brought her to the movie set, she remembered watching her father lift actress Robin Wright with care and gentleness. "That's my dad," she had said proudly. André loved that role because it allowed him to show the world that he wasn't just a monster or a wrestler, he was kind, funny, and human. She also recalled how much André respected the cast, especially Mandy Patinkin and Carrie Elwes. Years later, Carrie Elwes invited Robin to a special screening of the film in Brooklyn. "Of all the people my father worked with," she said, "Carrie is one of the ones I love talking about him with." Those moments helped her understand who her father really was behind the public image. When the HBO documentary André the Giant was released in 2018, Robin gave several interviews in hopes that people would finally see the man, not just the legend. "That public persona never meant much to me," she said. "When I saw him, he was just my dad. I saw him before and after the stage, not in the ring. He really was a gentle giant." Today, Robin Christensen-Roussimoff stands as a living continuation of André's story. She carries his name, his features, and his legacy, but she also lives her own life. André the Giant was not perfect. He struggled with pain, alcohol, loneliness, and emotional distance. But he also brought joy to millions, changed wrestling forever, and left behind a story that still moves people decades later. Perhaps now, looking down, André is finally at peace. And perhaps he is proud of the woman his daughter has become, strong, independent, and quietly powerful, just like him in his own way.